Hey everyone, Bill Miller here. Talking today about personality disorders and how that contributes to, is actually one of the main issues in becoming an abusive person. There are a couple different types, and I'm getting this directly from the book, The Emotionally Abusive Relationship. I'm reading that book and the Choices program. At the same time, depending on my mood, I read, just kind of go back and forth a little bit. They're a lot different. The Choices program is a little bit more about physical abuse, although the choices to physically abuse are the same choices that we make to emotionally abuse and verbally abuse. So also very applicable to my particular situation. And I have physically abused a few times in my life. I don't remember much of it, to be honest, but I think there's a lot of drinking involved anytime it's ever happened. And it wasn't, like punching a girl or anything like that. But I know, grabbing their arm and, like moving them out of my way or whatever, that's happened, and that's obviously physical abuse, and that's 100% unacceptable behavior. I do, I've gone through my whole life at this point, and every day I think of more and more things that I've done that I regret. Sometimes when you do it, you're just looking for negative things in your life, kind of what I'm going through right now. I'm looking for negative things in my life, or things that I've done that I regret, or that I feel sorry, for doing those things. Sometimes it gets a little taxing. It gets a little, you get a little down, I can't say I have a lot of self-esteem right now, and just because I'm pretty hard on myself for my behaviors, and the fact that it's taken me most of my life. Geez, I'm 49. I could be dead tomorrow, and if I die tomorrow, then that means basically I lived my entire life as an abusive person, and that, no thank you, that really bothers me a lot. Hopefully with the grace of God, I have another 40 years left or so, and I can spend those 40 years being a very kind, compassionate, empathetic, loving, caring, supportive person, partner to hopefully my wife. But either way, I'm going to fix me, no matter how much time God gives me on this earth. All the reasons that I became an abusive person are, everything I'm focusing on now. But it is. I took yesterday off for everything. I didn't write my wife a letter like I do every day. I didn't read any of my books. Just for that reason that it's kind of been on the advice of several counselors that I talk to now, that I do need to take a little time and relax, enjoy the day. I went golfing yesterday. I spent time with the kids, with my kids. They're always just so fun. They're just so amazing. I just love the kid part. They're just so, I don't know, they're still so, I don't know, they're supportive, to be fair and honest. They spend so much time away from me for this past month that it's hard on them for sure, but they definitely are embracing the time that we do get together. Right now I don't have a home for them to stay at because I live here because of what my wife and I are going through. And so it's been about 5.5 weeks since they've actually slept in the same house as me. And that's hard. It's hard on me, it's hard on them, it's hard on their mom. Their mom's not used to having them this much. So anyway, But I have been trying to just take Sundays, and maybe I do go to church in the morning, Sunday morning, and that helps start my day. Funny thing about church, I don't know, funny, haha, but funny thing about church is I still can't go to church without crying a lot. I mean, I'm Catholic, so I suppose there's a lot of guilt in there. Everyone makes fun of Catholics and their guilt. One thing I can say without a doubt is I can't just go to confession and all is forgiven, and I feel way better. I go through, it's pretty emotional for me to go to church. I lost my spirituality through the years. It just seems kind of, I feel like 8 out of 10 people these days, they're not religious anymore. They think it's dumb and the rules are dumb and all this stuff. For whatever reason, there's nothing that makes me feel more, I don't know what the word would be, but there's nothing that is more humbling to me, that is more effective way of putting me in my place than when I'm sitting on a church pew or kneeling before God in a church. I can do it here, and I pray every night, several times every night now. But it's still like I don't cry every night. I can't even say the Our Father at church without, tears just run down my face. People probably think I'm weird, like, why is that guy crying every damn Sunday? But there's nothing I can do about it, and obviously no one really cares, and most people don't notice. But it's just very connecting for me, very powerful. A lot of I feel like because of the way I've treated people, I feel like he's very disappointed in me. I feel like I let him down a lot. I know he didn't put me on this earth to be mean to other people, to be abusive towards other people. I know that for a fact, but it's who I became. I know he understands how I became the way I did, but it doesn't stop me from feeling like I've let him down for the last 30 years of my life. That's an exaggeration, I guess. I went through anyway, for most of my adult life, I've distanced myself from the church and from God. Still prayed quite a bit, still obviously love him, love religion, but I didn't follow it. I didn't let him lead me. I didn't let my decisions be led by basically what would Jesus do, as a good example. But now I do. I oddly just ordered my first Bible, my own Bible, which I've never had. I've had them in the house growing up my whole life. I've never physically or actually purchased a Bible before, but I did today, as a way of, because it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh no, it's only 1 o'clock in the morning right now. But I generally don't get to bed until 3 or 4 in the morning, and church starts at 7 a.m. during the week. So I haven't been able to go during the week, and going just once a week for me hasn't been enough. I do this other therapy, 3-4 hours a day, 7 days a week, and God is a big part of what I'm going through. He's one of the most important facets, parts to help me heal. Number one, humbling myself has been the biggest one by far. It turns out as far as our personality disorders, there's a behavioral personality disorder, and there's narcissistic personality disorder. The book gives me maybe 20 different traits or guidelines, if this, if that, just to read a couple. So this is the question, the thing is your partner suffering from narcissism, which am I suffering from narcissism? And it's, do I seem to constantly be wrapped up in myself, my interests and my projects, and have little interest in what's going on with my partner? And even when I do take interest, it's short-lived. I'm guilty of that, for sure. Do I lack empathy or compassion for other people? Yes, absolutely, 100%. Yes, I do. I did. I had very, very little empathy. If it was inconveniencing me, it annoyed me, and I got frustrated, and I usually just walked away or whatever. That's embarrassing to me. I hate that about me, to be damn honest. I hate that. I don't know how that happens. It's so freaking hard to know how you become this way. When on the inside, you're you believe to be such a good person. I love as much as anyone can, loves. I help people all the time. If someone needs a buck, I give them a buck. If someone needs a tire change, I'll change their tire. Overall, by and large, I'm a good person to almost everyone. But when but with my wife, you just get to where it's like a competition in a way, or it's like a battle over who's right and who's wrong, and I just don't know how it gets that way. But I hate it. I hate it. Number one, I hate the word narcissist. It just drives me nuts. It's so overused. It's ridiculous. But as far as narcissistic tendencies and traits and behaviors, fuck, I have a lot of them. I have a lot of them, and I did have a lot of them. That's where God and religion comes in the most for me, is humbling myself. You would never put narcissist and humble in the same sentence in a million years. That's for sure. You would put humble and, nice, genuine, sincere, empathetic, all of those, kind of go along with being humble. Not narcissistic, that's for sure. It's literally the opposite, pretty much. And so that's where I'm at. That's kind of what I've gone through the last 6 weeks, is humbling myself, and that's what God did for me. These books are very educational, for sure. I'm learning a lot. I'm gaining real confidence in myself every day, which is weird. I say that I have no self-esteem, which, when I think about the things I've done and how horrible I feel about who I have been, I feel like a fucking loser. I feel like a jerk, like a dick, like a loser. I feel mean. And that's kind of where I get that. I don't, not having a lot of self-esteem, because I just feel all those ways about myself, while simultaneously getting better every day. So there's that. I am getting better every day. I can see how in a few months, 6 months, 9 months, I'll have some genuinely sincere confidence about who I am, and especially overcoming this, overcoming my abusive ways, overcoming my narcissistic tendencies, behaviors. I know it's going to give me a lot of confidence. I'm to the point now where I can, in my letters to my wife, today was a 5-page letter I just wrote my wife. I can confidently say now that I wasn't to blame for everything. She was also very abusive to me. I'll never know how, and it never will matter how much she would have been, even if I would have been perfect the whole time. She still has things about her that, she denied the entire time we were together. She blamed me for all of her, every time she abused me. I mean, she physically abused me. There's many occasions that had happened, and I was to blame for all of them. Which I know now that's not true. I mean, there were things from early on that happened that long before we could have blamed me for everything that was wrong. But it's okay. Like, it is what it is. Like I said, I mean, I can't change. I can't have her. I can't ask her to see her fault in our relationship. Her faults, her take, her role in our relationship problems. That's not up to me. That's something. If it ever happens with her, then great. Maybe she would probably have a little more tendency to give us a chance at this. If she could see that, while I have my narcissistic personality disorders, she also has a lot of the signs are very descriptive of her personality as well. A lot of the abusive things that she put me through are the stem from her childhood, whether she believes it or not. I fully believe it. They weren't solely because of I somehow brought it all out in her, and so I hope for her happiness and for her well-being, and hopefully, I hope she does eventually look at herself and say, yeah, I did have a role in this, and I do have some things that I could work on. And if it was up to me, she would see that a lot of people do. A lot of people have problems. A lot of people don't know how to handle emotions. A lot of people have defense mechanisms. A lot of people have what I had, and every bit of it is fixable. It just is. Anyone that says once an abuser, always an abuser, absolutely, there's zero truth to that. If you don't know, if you have absolutely no idea why you are an abuser, I don't think you can fix it. Like, if you don't know how it started, if you don't acknowledge that you are, being abusive, like me for forever, really up until a month and a half ago, I always blamed it on someone else. I never, if she wasn't this way, then I wouldn't have to be that way. And so absolutely that wouldn't be, I couldn't change if I wouldn't acknowledge who I was and what I was. Then yeah, I could see there's no changing. But the moment you do, the moment you realize, what causes this, you go through your life and you see all of the things you've done, and you see that if there are things that cause something, there's also ways to uncause something. It's if something caused you to put up a defense mechanism, then it's very feasible to examine what that was, understand what happened, forgive whatever it was that happened, forgive it, turn it over to God, and get it off your shoulders, get it off your plate, and then you don't have that defense mechanism anymore. Like, I can say with 100% certainty today that I am not afraid to love anymore. Like, I'm not afraid if my wife somehow, some way comes back into my life and says, you know what, like, I get it, we both were at fault here, we both had, problems, whatever, let's work this out, let's figure these out, or whatever. I fully understand the defenses that I put up, and that they were impenetrable. Like, she could not get through to me. She could not knock those walls down for anything in the world, because I didn't know they were even up. Like, I didn't know they were up, so how do I take them down? But now I know they were up. Now I know how they got put up. I know when and why they got put up, and now I've taken them down. Like, it's completely possible, and it's just a matter of being aware of taking the steps, making the effort, taking the time to educate yourself, to go through your life, to figure things out in your heart, in your mind. The weights that you're carrying on your shoulders, you find the sources of those. You do. It's weird. I mean, it's not weird. It makes sense when you start doing it. But yeah. So anyone that thinks that you can't overcome abuse, your abusive behaviors and patterns, there's zero truth to that. That would be like saying you can't overcome, I don't know, alcoholism or whatever. Like, abusing alcohol. You can overcome anything as long as you understand how it starts, or how it started and what you need to do to fix it. I wanted to read something. This part is I love this saying. Understanding that your partner has a personality disorder will explain a great deal. That's kind of what I was just saying. It does. It explains a lot. Understanding that I had a personality disorder, it explains a great deal. It doesn't excuse my behavior, but it makes sense out of it. And that's what you kind of hope. Like, I pray to God that my wife, I pray that she loves me enough to, instead of just blame me for all of our problems, to maybe educate herself, to go through some of these steps to learn about behavior problems, like, abusive, problems and behaviors and personality disorders and things like that. Because if she did, she would understand. Like, if she took, half the time that I've taken, she would understand, like, yeah, hey, like, there's a reason this guy became what he was. And if he's willing to acknowledge that, not make excuses for it, and fix it, then we can have an amazing relationship. Like, and that's where I'm at. I don't have any excuses. I don't make a single excuse, no matter what. But knowing what I know now, it explains a lot. It explains a lot of my behaviors. And then there's also this one that is learning that your partner has a personality disorder doesn't give you an excuse to stop working on your own issues and taking responsibility for your part in the relationship problems. This is especially true because partners of those with personality disorders often have personality disorder themselves. So they, you kind of attract each other. You're attracted to someone kind of with your same flaws-ish, if that makes sense. So, for me, like I was just saying, I hope that, God willing, my wife loves me enough to say, hey, I don't know if I want to just walk away, like blame him for everything and walk away, because that's not going to make her better. She wasn't perfect. None of us are perfect. She wasn't perfect in this. And the only way to get better is to admit that you're not perfect. Learn about what causes you to behave the way you behave, and that's the only way you're ever going to fix it, to get better. Man, that's a lot. So anyway, that was my last night, was learning and discovering the behavioral personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder. I would imagine every single person that reads all of them, some of them apply to all of us. Overwhelmingly, like I said, 12 or 13 out of 20 of the narcissistic ones fit me. Some of them to a T, a lot of them to a T. There's no doubt I had narcissistic personality disorder. There's also no doubt that I don't anymore. I can see without any doubt in my mind my losing God, my getting away from God for most of the last 22 years, what happened is I start answering to myself instead of answering to God. I start, I don't acknowledge, he's not a part of my everyday life. He's not a part of my thought process, my decision making, how I treat people, my behaviors. Like when you distance yourself from God, you're kind of just answering to yourself. I mean, it's stupid, but it's like you're your own God now, because you're just answering to yourself, because you're not thinking of him. You're just thinking of yourself. And that's a narcissist right there. I mean, obviously there's a lot more to being a narcissist, but that's very narcissistic right there. Is to basically you become your own God. You're the only one that you answer to. So of course, I mean, you're if someone's not serving your needs or your purpose, you're just not around that person. That you don't want, like, well, what good does that person do me? So I'm not going to be around them. That's one. But now that I have completely got down on my knees, both physically and hypothetically, in front of God at His feet, I try to make almost all my decisions based on what He would want me to do. When I am frustrated at work here, I think a lot about what He would want me to do. Not just what suits me, but like, what would He want me to do? Like, what is the best path for me to take here that would make Him proud of me? And that's a lot about, if He does bring my wife back to me, God will be front and center of our relationship. That's the only way I can get through this life now, is He has to be front and center. He has to be a part of everything I do. Because some of us don't, if we have a tendency to, store anger in us and things of that nature, we've got to have someone that we answer to, that humbles me, that I answer to, other than me. And, other than my wife, which I would love to answer to her, but not as my God, just as her, partner / husband. All right, that's it. We can overcome all of it, and that's a true story. We just have to educate, we have to work, we have to humble ourselves, we have to be honest with ourselves, we have to stop making excuses, and keep working, and everything will come. All right, until next time.